fellowship, communion, friendship,
Yeah.
intimacy, eye
Totally.
contact, vulnerability, bodies of people, and face to face and not fucking text, you know?
Yeah.
The devil is in the details. The greatest trick that the devil pulled is that telling people they didn't exist. It's like texting is no big deal. It's fine. We can communicate just fine. You know, but I
Yeah.
think that that's a trick where it's like the all the misunderstandings, a lot of them go unnoticed. You know, and
Yeah.
it's just this corrosive thing that's happening under our
Yeah.
awareness between
That
us, you know, alienating us from each other.
definitely agree with that.
Hate
Yeah.
it.
100%. And yet it remains a fundamental and essential way that you have to,
Yes.
like, that's how you reach out to people.
I'm not trying to say no text. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to though. And that's
Part of me
okay.
definitely wants us to just like,
Yes.
you know,
No.
I hate it, you know, in the sense where, in a biblical sense, where
Yeah.
uh, to hate thy father and mother is kind of to put it aside, or like to renounce it, or to move apart from it or something, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's kind of, I
You
don't
hate
know.
it because you have had a lot of like experiences with it that were shitty, and you would feel shitty whenever you think about it, and you
That's
associate
definitely
it
part of it.
badly, and then you go to do it, and then you start overthinking it because you start to do
Sometimes it
it.
goes well, you know. It's
Yeah,
just kind of my tendency is to just
keep going,
speak
right?
what comes up naturally, and
Yeah,
like when that's what really makes the texting weird is because there is this kind of barrier between this natural being and the you know, choosing the letters. Like it's a very manual act. Of course, like
yeah.
maybe you can do automatic texting, you know, but that's like I'm not skilled at that. This question in general of technology and the right relationship with it, I think it's reaching ahead insofar as like this is the confrontation with Lucifer at the end of the Piscean age. We're like in the transitionary period right now between the two, and that basically is like finding a right relationship with the Luciferic as such. I guess what I'm talking about is like the pattern of technology, just in general. It's very interesting because it also connects back to like clothing, like
When you say
clothing.
luciferic, sorry, you mean like
Yeah,
tech, like that's it's tech, it's a tech, technology is a
yeah. It also goes
luciferic
with like
thing.
magic and
Yeah,
science and medicine as well. Magic and science.
gotcha.
Yeah, and the mind, the will, perhaps, or
Mhm.
the mind will. The first technology was clothing, and I think about language as technology. So that's kind of how my
I think
cosmology pieces together in terms of this thing being important right now. Like we're in the midst of this glorification of language right now. This technology,
it makes me think of music, right?
you know.
You know, the cliche is that the music is like a universal language, right?
Yeah,
Like like you'll hear something and I can hear music, and even if it takes me a second to kind of acclimate to it and it's really foreign, I can tap into like an energy and I can
yeah,
understand like the personality of the people playing that music
yeah.
in some crazy amorphous way that
It is
that
so interesting, you know. Yeah, and I've made this analogy before where it's like there's a music kind of playing through, somebody's kind of enacting a music all the time,
totally
and you know, we can like
it's just patterns,
sync up
right?
with their music, you know, like you can catch my melody or something, you know, like
Yeah,
which is my through line, and
yeah,
and like
no, and you can
and it's
I can
interesting because when people hear music, their brainwaves naturally sync up with it, you
yeah,
know. And I think
totally.
maybe something analogous happens to when we see somebody kind of being, and which is inherently this rhythmical musical thing, like we just naturally sync up with them, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, you it's like an automatic process, right? Like
Yeah,
you'll hear a song
yeah,
and you'll just attune to that energy and that
yeah.
frequency. It's
But it's also
create.
like mind control, right?
It is. Well,
Which is
that's
why
what
you
I'm
have to be
saying.
careful. That's what we were talking about last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It is like that. And that's why, and you can use the mind control, right? You
Yeah,
can like,
and you can also like allow yourself to be more receptive to it, such that like you're really available to the other person, you know.
hmm
Very interesting.
yeah. One thing that's always fascinated me is like how the degree of specificity you can that you can communicate with music. So like,
Mm.
you know, you can say that like, oh, well, this, and then the you can we can go through all that we just said, and we can say, oh, you know, on the basest, smallest level of understanding, it's like, oh, I feel happy. This song
Yeah,
makes me happy, right? This song gives everyone a general feeling of happy. But what people do and what artists do is they create a song that is an expression of their mood or their feelings over a particular thing
Yeah, rather than
over
just,
time,
yeah, man.
and then you tap into that exact like I can hear a song and like without knowing what it is, I can understand intuitively in ways that I can't logically square. Like your brain just goes through this process of like making the noise coherent, right? And it's like, oh, this song is about a fight he had in traffic one day, or what,
Yeah.
like depending on how receptive you are with your radio,
Yeah,
like
and it's
you
also,
can get extremely granular with
yeah,
that.
that's kind of what I was trying to get at with regard to this idea of participation. Like when you actually, it's not just that you recognize the rhythms or something, but you like embody them when you listen to it or something.
Yeah.
And also, and also, yeah, it's like when you just say simple words like I'm happy or I'm sad, it's like but then you can also imagine the emojis, right? There's plenty of emojis to describe
Yeah.
emotions, but then you have this string of emojis. It's like just like you were saying, the nuance of the music, which is always happening, is very subtle, and like you can get it's so rich. Like
Yeah.
that's where I kind of just start
You
giddy
yeah.
smiling out here.
Like
Like,
an example of this is a super heavy example, but just an example of how beautiful it can be is
mm,
Clapton, Eric Clapton.
Clapton, like the musician, right?
Yes. Yeah, he was the guitarist for Cream. But he did a lot of his own stuff.
Mhm.
His I don't know the exact details of the story. But his son, his like toddler son, one day, it's pretty heavy, so we don't have to hang out here, but he climbed out of a window and fell to his death, you
Yeah.
know. Just a tragic, they left the window open and then their baby like crawled out the window and fell and fucking died. And that's a kind of an emotion and experience that you uh you just I don't even like, how do you say it? It's like you just can't know that until you've done it, right? Like you cannot experience that kind of pain and that specificness and that depth of tragedy.
Yeah. The
But
terminology.
and,
Go
and
ahead.
he turned that moment into Tears in Heaven, right? Which is his most famous song, I'm pretty sure, right? So he took his emotional experience and his trauma in that and transmuted it into a vehicle that now I can hear it and I can approach that situation, his experience, right? His exact thing, right?
Yeah.
As best as
That's
I
what.
can.
Okay. Yeah, man. Great. I love it. Like um, yeah. That's what I think. Kind of Steiner was getting at with like eurythmy, right? In a way, like how
Mm-hmm.
do we translate? Like maybe you can think about the experiential realm as like the etheric or whatever but then and then how do we make our being an image of that, such that we sing the song so that it really shines with the other thing that came to mind while you're speaking there was the terminology of place, where you can't know that you can't know the subtlety and the depth and the horror of that experience, unless you kind of go to that place, right? Unless you've
Mm-hmm.
been there, and like the language or the being or the music or the song that is written is like a pointer to that place, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that is um and how do we make it such that we are always pointing to the place where we are,
Mm-hmm.
rather than pointing contrary, pretending to be something we're not,
Right. And when you're honest and you're genuine and you create art that is a reflection of you,
Yeah.
then that appeals to that nature in other people,
Yeah.
and then that attracts them, and then it helps them process difficult
Yes.
emotions. And you can get as granular as you want with it, right? Like one thing I like to do is I like to make really oddly specific playlists. I've always loved that
Yeah,
people
you've
do
mentioned
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like just toying with that idea of like, what does this sound like? What all associations do I make with this thing, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I've
then
been thinking about making a bunch of more elaborate playlists because I've recognized a problem with my channel, which is that I have like a lot of videos
shit
and they're
ton.
not particularly organized, like such that I feel like there's a lot of stuff that is like hidden gems way back in the
Sure.
doldrums somewhere.
You have a lot of playlists already though that I didn't know. I think I clicked on your Galahad one actually. I remember doing that when I think I
Yeah,
first
I
met
haven't
you.
updated them in a while either. Like there's some ones that need to be added to.
Is it like so? Does it like take it because no all this is a common thing I see YouTubers just always neglect the playlists. Like, is it like annoying to do or something, or is it like
It's a little tedious, but
it's tedious?
not
Yeah,
particularly. It's more so just I've been lazy
it's just
with
like a
it.
thing people don't like. It just like kind of sits off to the side and then like it accumulates and then people are like, ah. Just notice it's always one that I'm like I want and then it's not there a lot of the time and I'm just like
Yeah, or
how
that.
it
I
because
feel
you
that
think
I've
it'd
been
be
there. Yeah,
but
I've been to that place that you're pointing to.
yeah. What do you know about AI?
Not a whole lot, although I have, I've had it's been a theme.
Dude, you want to talk about Luciferic tech?
Yeah,
Okay. That is
yeah,
we're at the
yeah,
precipice of the
yeah, dude.
biggest
And then
fucking thing that's
yeah, and
ever
how nicely does it fit with the Book of Revelation? Like everyone
it's
so tiptoes around the question, but the idea of like a speaking image which other people are controlling, it just seems to fit in my mind. But I haven't really like, I'm not like convinced on any one particular way in that respect.
yeah.
I just mean like, I don't know. It's just
To
Book of
say that it
Revelation.
upheaves us is we this is fire, dude. Like this is we've created fire,
Yeah, as we were saying before, it's like I
literally.
think we're really, it's really the elemental fire, right, that we're speaking of, and that is associated with the bottom right of the cosmogram. Like the fire element is we're kind of encountering it as such. So yeah, this idea that it is fire. It's like yeah, it's the fire, and it's like the most clear expression of the fire that we've seen or something. When people discovered fire, they were also discovering AI. It just took a long time.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because what do you need? What do you need to do AI? You need energy
yeah. Fire, yeah.
to do
Yeah, I
AI.
first heard that from Tim Pool, actually. He made the analogy, and I don't think he realized how deep it was.
I was about to
Yeah.
say he's easy to clown on. If you wear the same beanie every single fuck,
I wonder if he's like a shiny bald head or something.
I think he does actually. That's what it is. This is what it always is. If you ever see someone getting clowned on, look for the bald head, okay? Because if they're hiding their bald head, it's like this weird thing we do where we see that and you flip a switch and you're like, make fun of that guy. You gotta embrace the bald, man. There's no other way around it. You see
Yeah.
someone hiding their hair and there's just like this primal switch in your head that's like, don't listen to that guy.
Yeah, man, that connects back to what I was saying about, how we're always exuding
Yeah,
pointers.
it is. He's bald as fuck. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries.
Oh no, it's bad, dude. Go ahead, sorry.
All good. Embracing your baldness, that also connects to what we were saying about how we're always exuding this music of pointers to the place that we're at. And sometimes people point contrary to where they're actually at. Are you pointing to the place where you're at? We're always kind of exuding this music, and sometimes it directs people such that we're transparent to each other. And that's where true authority comes from. When somebody's really in line with their logos, being themselves, that's when people listen.
Yeah,
Because otherwise
not
it's
hiding
sus.
himself.
Otherwise
Yeah,
it's sus. Yeah,
he's pointing to the beanie, not to him. And
yeah.
then people are like, "What's under that beanie?"
Hmm.
And then he's
It's the
also
mask.
right leaning, and then
Yeah,
everyone.
that's what I meant by the mask last time. It's this process of like, because that contrary pointing, it becomes a force of itself where it possesses people, and they can't be real anymore. People don't listen to you if you're fake, you know,
Hmm.
or
And
if you're not being yourself.
yeah, that's what like we have radars for that, right? And that's like one of those things that like you pick up on, and you're like, "Oh, is he hiding the baldness? Are you insecure?" But the thing, it's like, what is it?
I
Yeah.
think it goes with the garments of skin symbolism and the first technology of clothing, the clearest it's been pointed to.